Just a huge, either really weird coincidence or it's meant to be, I don't know.
Michael Bolkin and Lawrence Kasoy, sophomores on the Columbia wrestling team, wrestled 2 different weight classes. Bolkin at 197.
A nice front headlock here for Balkan. He's going to look to turn the corner, and he'll get 2.
And Kasoy at 165.
Kasoy goes down and gets the 2.
Aside from that distinction, these two share everything.
Basically, coming into college, we didn't know each other, and then we realized that we're from the same. We have the same kind of cultural background. We're both Russian and Jewish, and my grandma's last name is actually his last name. My middle name is Lawrence. His brother's name is Michael.
He's from Escondido, California, which is like a little town outside of San Diego, correct? And my neighborhood in Florida is called Escondido. Also, both my parents are from a town in Ukraine. It's called Odessa. And also his grandma's also from that town, so it's also another weird coincidence.
So can it really be a coincidence?
There's 10 million people in New York. Somehow we found 2 guys with lineage from essentially the same village in Russia together. They ended up being roommates this year. And, it makes it a really small world and shows you how small the wrestling community is.
It is a really rare thing to get kids from across the world involved at the same time, at the same age, in the same class, essentially, here in one place. So it's pretty unique to have the academic standards to get in here. There's so many things that have to fit.
Both guys had ties to wrestling from their dad, as it is a very common youth sport in Russia, but they fell into it very differently.
My dad actually wrestled Greco-Roman when he was a kid in Ukraine or former USSR, but he never really told us about it and didn't really push us, to wrestle at all. I actually got into wrestling accidentally. My brother, his football coach made him wrestle just to stay in shape for football, and then I went and watched a couple of his matches and then slowly got into it, and then by the time I was in 6th grade, I was pretty committed to it.
My dad had always been into combat sports. I remember doing jiu-jitsu as a little kid with him. And then when I was in middle school, a bunch of my friends were on the wrestling team, and they convinced me to come out. And at first, I was doing jiu-jitsu moves on them, trying to choke them out and stuff. But eventually, just kind of fell in love with the sport, and I've been doing it ever since.
As the two continue their wrestling journeys here at Columbia, they are so happy to have each other.
Just to come to a completely new place and still have someone that you kind of have a shared background with, even though you've never met before, it was a really good thing to have. It's like some home away from home.
2 guys, 2 wrestlers, writing their own version of the Parent Trap here in Morningside Heights.
Somewhere down the line, I have a feeling we are related.
My grandma, whose last name is Kasoy, she's all about it. When I told her I was going to be living with Lawrence, she was that's my family member.
Reporting from New York City, I'm Carly Nevis.